What is good? We're back. We got some more rookie talk for you today.
More.
We've been hard at work at an industry mock. We got 11 other dudes and a super long show coming out with all of their picks. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, but it's been a lot of work behind the scenes.
Grinding.
But today we wanted to do a little kind of later round rookie picks. Everyone talks about the top guys, and we could call them sleepers, but who the hell's a sleeper at this point?
Average view duration just went down. People, they're not talking about the top guys. See ya.
See you later. But we're going to try to help you out with some guys that I like in the third round or later. Got a list of a bunch of different guys here to target and go after. So for me, we're going to pick right up in the third round. If I'm in a rookie draft, I get in the third round and Wan'Dale's still there, which a lot of the times he is. I don't mind maybe trying to find a little trade up. It shouldn't cost you all that much at this point. Nobody likes the third and fourth round guys really.
Or Wan'Dale because they're sizes. But this man was the 11th pick in the second round. So draft capital.
Well, draft capital matters until they don't like you, and then it doesn't matter anymore. See Velus Jones and Traquan Thornton. So Wan'Dale, obviously, the sizes thing. You got Hollywood Brown, whose combine's numbers were 5'9", 166. I mean, he could be an outlier for you, but I mean,
it's definitely an outlier.
But Wan'Dale, and I'm not saying Wan'Dale's Hollywood by any means. Hollywood's faster and probably a little bit more elusive, but Wan'Dale 5'8", 178. So a little thicker.
I've got 179, but whatever.
A little thicker, and has a little more gadget to his game. He did some running at Nebraska, had a decent amount of touches as a running back, transfers to Kentucky, blows it up this year.
130 carries at Nebraska, only 7 this past year, but decent yards per carry.
Right. So
he's versatile though.
There's some versatility, some gadgetness to him, and he goes to Ryan Daboll, who we think that the Giants' offense is in the best hands it's been in a while here, and Kadarius Toney injuries and between the ears. And then Galladay's had a career of some, hamstrings and lower leg stuff that's kept him off the field. So the other two guys that are alongside of him aren't necessarily the pictures of health. And, Cole Beasley had back-to-back 82-year grabs under Daboll. You saw Isaiah McKenzie come in there at some point, and they gadgeted him up and tossed him the ball all over the yard. So maybe you get a little combo platter of Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie wrapped up in Wan'Dale Robinson. They can move him all over the place and use him in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah,
be the chain mover, get a bunch of receptions here and make life easier on Daniel Jones.
He played 72% in the slot last year, 28% out wide. So, he can do a lot of different things. We mentioned the rushing ability was fourth in the nation in catches with 94. Excluding the postseason to make it an even fair playing field, 128 targets. That was good for 8th. 7th in yards per route run. People love that fucking stat, 3.44.
Boom.
And then 11th in yak with 544 yards. So, he's up at the top. I think he was the 8th highest graded.
And he was in the SEC.
The 8th highest graded PFF receiver in the nation last year.
Boom.
Going against good competition. You see him go downfield. Has a good contested catch rate. He plays bigger than his size. He makes big plays downfield.
Physical,
right?
For
so
size,
good all around.
Just a fun guy to watch,
right? But he's 179 pounds, man.
Right.
Can't be good.
Hollywood's out there doing his thing and a little faster, but Wan'Dale gives you a little something different, not quite as fast. But if I'm in the third, get on the clock. I like Wan'Dale there. The next guy these are the two guys that I'm really targeting in the third round if they're there in the beginning, and I can move up at all is Tolbert. He's comes in at 6'1", 194, ran a 4.49, so got some speed there. We had the Gallup injury in January. He had surgery in February, so a lot of talk about him not being ready. So he's kind of coming into a ready-made situation of maybe being a wide receiver 2, but maybe James Washington's there and it's wide receiver 3 at worst. But he's coming in and into a tailor-made situation where he could carve out a role early. Now, Galladay and Dak definitely have some chemistry. I'm glad that the Cowboys brought him back because when Gallup's on the field and Dak will find him. But Jalen Tolbert's coming out of South Alabama. He had a 33.4 college target share. That's the 96th percentile. 51.2% college dominator. That's the 96th percentile. So, when he's on the field, he's dominating balls. Like you're going to go ahead and throw it his way. So Tolbert could get out there now. Obviously, a different level of competition than South Alabama, but I like the prospect. I like the ability. I like the size. I like the speed. So a lot of things to really like there. Cowboys have been pretty decent at drafting wide receivers. So those are the two guys early on in the third that I'd be willing to trade up for to try to get into and snag those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Tolbert did what you want someone to do against weaker competition.
Yeah, had a pretty good 20 and then blew, or a 21. He had a pretty good 2 years ago, and then last year was awesome. He really, really, really slayed it.
Yeah,
so,
there's really no one around him when you're watching the film. You can't stick him in
crushing
that conference.
Right. So I like those are my two favorite kind of third round stabs to trade up for. And then if you're in tight end premium, Jelani Woods, I know a lot of people are on him, but just a freak physically, 6'7", 252, came into Oklahoma State as like a top 25 quarterback recruit. Didn't do a whole lot there, and then he transferred to Virginia and absolutely did some work for a tight end, had a 12.7% target share, 44 receptions, 598 yards. So pretty decent season there for 1 year at Virginia. And really what you're drafting here is just, what these workout metrics are, just fast, big, physical. You don't see a whole lot of guys with this kind of profile running around, and the Colts just really don't have anybody else. They're looking for somebody.
They have been. Frank Wright has been looking for his Trey Burton forever.
Trying to find a tight end. Not that Trey Burton really worked out for him, but
he saw him with the Eagles at the end of that one season, and then he moved over to the.
Yeah, so Jelani Woods, tight end premium.
Or maybe that was Bears.
Another guy that I would stab on in the third there. So
back to Wan'Dale real quick. Wan'Dale over Jalen?
Yeah, I'm probably going to take Wan'Dale over Jalen.
You got to do that.
Yep. So, and then I know you like Zamir in there. If he's in the third, that'd probably be somebody that you'd be interested in.
Don't have a ton of cool stats to read off to you about how he dominated, but just an all-around great dude. He's an athlete. He's physical. His nickname was fucking Zeus. I mean, what else do you need to know? The breaking tackle stats aren't great. I think there was like maybe 27 or 37 or something. Not a huge number, but like if you watch the tape, he can break tackles and he can house it from anywhere, and he'll figure out the catching of the football. Like the hands looked okay at the combine. Just need a couple. It's a great situation over there. It feels like, right? I mean, you got Josh McDaniels, so it could be a bummer with the running back stable that the Patriots always have had. They've been a fucking headache, but I mean, if you could get LeGarrette Blount and Haskett, Harris last year was very usable. Ramondre was usable at times. Josh Jacobs doesn't have a long-term deal. He could be the main-ish guy there next year. They also could bring in someone else, but what are you doing here in the third round? Take a stab, like on Zamir Zeus White.
I'm probably not trading up for Zamir, and probably wouldn't have made the list for me, but I know that you really like him. So let's go with that.
Must drafts.
Another one for me, once we get into the third, fourth round, anywhere, however you want to shake it up, Kyren Williams, not a whole lot of love for him, but
he's like Eminem and Lil Wayne. No love,
but at one point he was some people's RB2, 3, 4, didn't test well, whatever. The Rams went ahead and selected him. I know not great draft capital, but 77 receptions over the last 2 years, regarded as one of the best pass protectors in this class.
Strong pass protection.
He had I think he had 995 yards, but basically had 1,000 yards rushing the last 2 years and over 30 receptions in both of those seasons. So just pretty strong all over the board. The tape tells a different story than maybe the combine did. Nobody was ever thinking that he was going to be lightning fast, but the Rams, good organization, good offense. Darrell Henderson hasn't been the picture of health.
1 year deal.
And on a 1 year, basically has 1 year left on his contract. Akers is coming back from an Achilles, and while he came back and was impressive to come back that soon, it wasn't all that impressive down the stretch. So we'll see how Akers rebounds in that Achilles. He's still young, but still,
Akers has stayed steadily banged up his entire career. That goes back to college.
Right. So Kyren's one of those guys, end of the third, middle of the third. That
why not?
If I want a running back, I'll stab on that guy. I said, I know the draft capital isn't great, but I like the player. I like the prospect. I like what he can do, and I like the situation that he just got himself into. You're gonna go to the Rams? Sure. Give me some Kyren Williams. So as we move a into this thing a little more, obviously Khalil Shakir is a guy on a lot of people's radar. He's 6 foot, 196 pounds. He was a 5th rounder, but he goes to the Bills. So again, this is another situation that you like. He's maybe has a little bit more of an uphill battle than say a Tolbert or some of these other guys, but ran a 4.3, pretty productive receiver, high character kind of guy, and obviously potentially tied to Josh Allen for a long time. And you do have Diggs and Davis and now Crowder for a year, and potentially Dawson Knox being some competition for him. But I really liked what I saw on film. And, and the stats,
so many
the stat sheet also is pretty good to look at. So
he's like
Shakir's a guy that I'm also targeting pretty heavily in the back half of rookie drafts.
So many wow plays popping off of the screen when you watch that tape. Like how does he come down with that ball? It's that the 50-50 ball is his, but he's still fairly fast. Like there's a lot of if you have too many contested catches versus your target overall, then you might not be good, a la N'Keal Harry and Denzel Mims and Arcega-Whiteside. But I mean, I like a guy that could come down with that 50-50 ball regardless, and
Right, probably projects maybe a little bit more as a slot in the pros here, but
did play some outside though.
Yeah, for sure. But I like the prospect. I like the landing spot. So that's a guy who I'm gonna continue to target as we go through these. Romeo Doubs, however you want to Doubs, however you want to go with it. 4th rounder, 6'2", 201 out of Nevada. He had some pretty strong seasons under his belt. Obviously, he's going to be with Aaron Rodgers. You're going to give me the cheap shot of a 4th rounder of a guy who's maybe a little bit more polished than a Christian Watson at this point, potentially.
There's some thumbs downs there.
So if you're going to give me the option, I'm going to go ahead and just take that super cheap option that went to A-Raj.
Well, we were well documented. Maybe I'll throw a link up. We debated Derek Brown on Christian Watson and how high you have to fucking take that guy. We're probably going to miss on Christian Watson because someone's going to take the stab too soon, much like Trey Sermon last year. And we were passing on Trey Sermon at his ADP, at his value that you had to take him, and we were taking Elijah Mitchell because we really like that guy.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not saying we like Doubs as much as we like Mitchell, but it's a free stab basically in the 4th round. Like, he's pretty much available in the 4th round.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
That's the guy that's probably one of my first targets in the 4th round.
Why not?
I'm not sure you're going to get Shakir in the 4th round necessarily. He does hang around every once in a while, but Doubs will certainly hang around. And productive, big. We don't have any tests. His stuff from high school is out there, kind of slow in high school, but seems plenty fast on the field. Looks like it could have a vertical threat. And again, I like the prospect of Christian Watson a whole lot more than the prospect of Trey Sermon. So I can understand why at the end of the first you would be taking Christian Watson, but same kind of deal. Like, give me the cheaper guy. In Doubs, especially 6'2", 204. There's not a whole lot of big, thick receivers in this class. Had a 58 reception on 93 targets for 1,000 yards in 20, and then in 21, 80 receptions for 1,100 yards, 10 touchdowns, I believe, or actually, I'm not sure about the touchdown number. Don't have it in front of me, but size 10 hands, big hands for Doubs, as big as Tolbert. So both of those guys were in the upper echelon of hand size.
Big hands make you. Never mind.
So like Doubs in the 4th here, that's going to be a consistent shot for me, time after time. And then
let's just say I like a girl with small hands.
Kyle Phillips is a guy that I'm not leaving drafts without for the most part. I'll trade back into the 4th or use my first 4th on him.
Who do we have on the show that's coming out that said that same thing? Was that Angelo?
I believe so.
Because I think he took Kyle Phillips there in the 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah, I mean, 31.3% target share, 38.6% dominator rating, so pretty strong there. 10 TDs for him.
Angelo took him at 4.6 in this industry mock that we're working on.
You have Robert Woods there, who had an ACL and is 30 in week 10 of last year. 30 years old, not a whole lot of competition.
No timetable for his return.
he
On
might
track,
he
but-
could start the season, but still 30 years old coming off an ACL. You just never know. Not a whole lot of competition. Obviously, they drafted Treylon, but
Who's wheezy.
Kyle Phillips is a strong slot player, and I know Burks is going to want to do some slot work as well.
Let me catch my breath.
Phillips is a guy who also returns punts, so he can work his way onto the field that way. We just talked to Troy King, and he was kind of giving some Kyle Phillips love as well. So there's a decent amount of love for this guy, and he's a target for me just because of situation, and I really like the play. The combine numbers aren't great, but he looks a whole lot faster on the field. I really like his footwork. All the white guy cliches: gritty, tough, faster than he looks. All those
Lunch pail, hard hat
kind of guy, blue
first
collar.
in, last out.
Yeah.
Yada, yada.
It's a good run. It's a smart run.
Yeah. Wait, what's that guy? What's that guy's name?
Shane Gillis. If you haven't seen the Shane Gillis stand up on YouTube, go
wow.
check that out.
If
pretty
you get
strong.
offended easily, don't do it. But
Nice 40 minutes of
Jeez.
hilarious stand up.
Yeah.
And then another running back in here, just
If
because
you
I
get
want to.
offended easily, don't listen to comedy shows. Go fuck yourself.
Last running back on here, wanted to mix in some more running backs, is Pierre Strong.
Yeah.
Don't want to let Pierre get away from you here. We had Angelo on. He had him ranked as the RB2 before the draft. He really liked him. We really like Strong, but not that much.
Yeah.
But fourth round capital to the Patriots. People don't love that. It's a little crowded.
You know what the percentage of a fourth round running back hitting is in his first year?
Right.
It's 3%.
Probably not great.
It's 3%,
but-
Casey. Just skip your pick. Don't even make it. Just let your timer expire.
Might
There's
as
no
well.
point in even taking a swing.
No way.
Jesus.
44 receptions in 20 and 21 combined.
I'll make the pick now.
1,600 yards, 18 total TDs his last year, 7.2 yards per attempt career in college. So just a good overall player here. Obviously, Damian Harris is there. He's got one more year. Ramondre they just drafted last year, and James White's was a little banged up last year. So this guy's got some nice mix of passing and running to his game. I know a lot of people are probably a little more out on him than they were. This was a lot of guys kind of like draft darlings that could be if he gets the capital. Oh boy, we're going to move him way up. Now I feel like everybody's kind of forgotten about him, and I'm okay with drafting him. Now if you got a short bench and you don't want to wait, like I can understand taking a stab at somebody else, but if this is a guy that you're probably going to have to draft and wait a second, and you could see him work his way onto the field in some receiving back situations. We're all chasing the James Whites of the world who, I get it. There has been some decent years from James White. In 18, he was RB7, and 19, RB18. But in 2015, RB39. In 2016, RB26. 2017, RB38. 2020, RB42.
The point to make is not that he's there to take James White's workload, because what's your best option? One time he finished as a top 15 wide running back. One time in PPR.
Two times inside the top 24, and then one time outside of it.
The other stat, my stat supports my opinion better.
Right.
One time inside the top 15, right? And then one other time inside the top 20.
When they were really depleted offensively.
Right. All those other running backs were injured. Tommy was just chunking it down. They don't have any other skill position players. You're not drafting him to replace James White's role. You're drafting him to do more than that potentially, because he is probably a better runner of the football than James White is.
Right.
So he could
agree.
So he could potentially get that third down work if he can figure it all out and graduate to the NFL from where he was fucking playing in college, which is where South Dakota State,
the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, like that level of competition is nothing. So he should have been blowing him out of the fucking water, which he was, and he looks good on tape. And he can catch the ball, and if he can figure that out, that'd be great. But if he can do more and get a little bit more work, but it's like, let's not act like the Patriots running backs haven't been frustrating as hell your entire fantasy football life.
Right, but I'm in the fourth
round.
If I want to take a shot on Strong and stash him and just know that, hey, I might have to wait a minute, and maybe he does get on the field catching some balls, and I think Mac Jones has no problem checking it down. But we'll get Harris. Maybe it's Ramondre and Strong from here on out. They also did draft Kevin Harris, who is on this list. If you are in your undrafted free agent guy or your last pick of the draft, you should pick him up because there was some talk about him being one of the better backs in the class, if not for an injury. And the Patriots also drafted him. So, it certainly is a little crowded over there, but I don't mind taking a shot on the talent of Pierre Strong. Now, you could go a different way with this and say, hey, in the 4th round, you got guys that you could take shots on with better draft capital that nobody really wants, being Velus Jones, Danny Gray, and Thornton here. There's nothing wrong with that.
I'll take Velus and Danny Gray.
You could take the opposite approach and just say, hey, I'm not going to take Strong, who maybe I like the talent a little bit more of, and hey, I'm going to maybe take these guys with some more draft capital who could maybe get some more opportunity right away.
And Danny Gray was drafted by the master, Kyle Shanahan, at the 105 spot in the 3rd round. Like, you got to take a note of that.
Right. I mean, I don't love it, and I'm not even going to lie, I don't know all that much about him, but there's decent capital on Velus, who could be the wide receiver too. Gray's a little more buried. We don't know what's going to happen with Debo, but Ayuk's good, and Jawan Jennings was really good for the 49ers last year. He's only on a 1-year deal. Thornton, there's obviously a lot going on in that receiver room, and he's definitely a guy who can get over top, so there could be some value immediately on him. So those would be guys that you would maybe want to take a little bit more shots on. And then as obviously the biggest shots that you could maybe take in the 4th round is your guy Justin Ross as an undrafted free agent. And that's just going to come with a lot of risk. But if it pays off, it's a 4th round shot.
Right.
Or an undrafted. If he becomes an undrafted free agent, I don't mind trying to scoop him up.
He's always getting drafted because people know who he is. Clemson's notorious for wide receivers, and he was at the God landing spot. So they're calling it the greatest undrafted free agent pickup ever in the history of
So there's, you could take Strong, who's maybe a little bit more of the talent, and then these guys as shots, and then Justin Ross as like, hey, there's some medical there, but if it does pan out, like that's probably was a top end prospect at one time.
I'm down to take any of those guys. Pick your favorite guy. Take a stab. There's no risk in a 4th round pick.
Right.
You're going to drop that guy 9 times out of 10 anyway.
Well, Keontae Ingram was everybody's 3rd or 4th round pick, and now that Darrell Williams has joined them, who was very good for the Kansas City Chiefs, and apparently in the sleeper article that Patrick Mahomes even vouched for him, saying that was a guy we trusted and a guy we really liked. So maybe Keontae Ingram's probably dropping down the ranks a little bit for everybody's sleeper late round guy. I wasn't going to mention who here anyway because everybody else is, but that came across today, so we picked that up. And then some other undrafted free agent guys. I know Kennedy Brooks to the Eagles. That's not the worst to spend your FAAB or your picks on. Abram Smith to the Saints. I know that's another popular one that people like. And then Beatty and Ford, if you have a Raven, scoop up Beatty. If you have a Brown, scoop up Ford. They're probably not going to go undrafted in most cases, but they certainly could. Nobody's really given those guys any love. I've seen it kind of go both ways.
In this industry mock, I believe Ford was the very last pick taken, and Beatty didn't even get drafted.
I think we took Beatty in the 5th round of a industry draft.
Ford went 4-9 in this industry mock.
And then I wanted to throw some more tight end premium guys.
We also have Dobbins in that league that we took Beatty, right?
And I also want to throw in...
And I just wanted to do it because I'm like, I love some Beatty.
Sure.
Sorry. Last time I cut you off.
Wanted to throw in some tight ends and some tight end premium guys that if that's what you're looking for. Both Ravens, Kohler, who had a really nice pro day, who I thought might make some noise at one point, but then really didn't get any. Then he had his pro day and really blew it up, and the Ravens drafted him, and then they came right back and drafted Likely, who I really like, who didn't have a good pro day. So kind of those guys kind of went in opposite directions. I'm going to take the shot on Likely because that's been my guy. I really enjoy watching him. Kohler, I could see being drafted sometimes in the late 4th as one of the last picks, but I've definitely seen him be undrafted as well as Likely, and those guys would be tight end targets for pickups for me. So just wanted to I know I threw out a bunch of dudes there, but...
we only want 5, and we want them in a fucking list, and we want it done in 3 minutes. God damn it, Casey.
Well, we did it fairly quickly.
27. We're at 27 minutes, not 28. That's strong.
And I went, I went through a lot of guys, but I mean, a lot of guys we're talking two, maybe even 3 rounds here. So it's, 24 guys. I gave you a list of the guys that I'm kind of targeting.
Is that about in an order that you're going after?
Definitely the first couple, and then as we went and got a little there towards the end, I started.
Pick your flavor. You want to take the stab on the running back? You want the wide receiver? You want the tight end? Is it tight end premium? What are you getting a quarter point per carry? Is it
Right. You want to take, it's just kind of like you're doing in the second round or maybe early third. Are you going to take the shot on Algier, who you could get the maybe quick value spike from and sell, or you looking for the long term because you like the talent, a little better. So kind of gave you some of those options in the back half of this thing. So appreciate y'all. Go ahead and subscribe, like, 5 stars, all those great things. You can go to revelrybrewingco.com and get this lovely T-shirt. Help your boys if you want to figure out a way to support. That's a good way to support. Subscribing and liking and 5-starring is a nice way to support.
Yeah,
and
Spotify, iTunes, you just tap the 5 stars. You don't have to write a review or come up with anything. Just tap the little 5 stars. Just tap it in.
Or
you too good for your home? Tap it in.
Or if you really want, you could throw us $5 for a month and then stay around. You get the Discord, some extra podcast action, some chit chatting, and mocks.
What I think is, one of the biggest things we're constantly doing mocks up in there. And you join in the mock, you see who we're taking, we chat it up, we do shows about those mocks. We talk about what you did, and then got a bunch of trade questions coming in nonstop. All the pretty active community. We try and get in there as much as we can, answer trade questions. It's just a good time, good way to support your boys and get a little value out of it. And as we keep moving forward, we're going to be doing more and more shows over there. We're a little scarce on the extra shows, but we throw them a little bit extra every once in a while, and the Discord and the mocks and just helping us out and supporting us if you like what we're doing is a big help, and we appreciate you. So we'll be back, man. We got a ton of I feel like we're recording every fucking night, so we got like 11
industry mock is kicking our butt.
12 different guests.
I think for people who like a lot of opinion and a lot of rationale and reasons and follow-up questions, if you just like a list and a screenshot of who the hell we picked, we'll send that out to you too. But for the people who like to actually listen to stuff, learn, agree or disagree with comments and context,
give you our opinion.
We're going to give you all sorts of
other
stuff.
People's opinions. You listen, see what you like. What do you think is right? What's your preference? Make your own decisions. We're just educating you because you're here to get better at Dynasty Fantasy Football, and that doesn't happen overnight, and there is no short one-word answer. This isn't a yes or no, true, false test. This isn't a fucking multiple choice test. This is a essay that's graded over like a bunch of years. So we appreciate y'all. Peace.